Welcome everyone. Happy Friday to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency news. I am George. Bitcoin is still doing well. Bitcoin FOMO is starting, and I do believe 17,000, 18,000 will be here sooner than we all expect. So welcome again. Happy Friday. Today is a very good day, like pretty much all. Well, if you're looking at Bitcoin, it's been good for past a few weeks. But overall, today's a beautiful day. I think a lot of people are very happy, excited about this weekend, right? We're getting close to Thanksgiving, getting close to Christmas, getting to, close to New Year's. And that's when things will get real wild. But anyways, thanks for tuning in. Smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. I know there's a lot of people that's tuning in for the first time now because FOMO is starting to build. People are starting to pay attention to Bitcoin, and that is definitely a good thing. But I'm going to show you today that even though it started, it's nowhere close to the same level as 2017. So there's definitely a lot more room to grow. As you guys, I just spent some time. That's why I'm a little bit late today. I've been talking about this Vegas fund, right? A lot of us have been waiting to go to Vegas to party after Bitcoin hits 20,000. Maybe it's not going to happen this year. Probably not a good year. Maybe next year. But still, I've started a Vegas fund. Those of you guys that want to contribute, you want to contribute and make the Vegas party the biggest party that you have ever been to. At least a crypto party. You can contribute. I put a BTC address on the bottom. So that is a new one I created with nothing inside. I might contribute to it myself. Obviously, I will be actually. But that way, if people can contribute, you can look at the amount. It's blockchain. There's no shenanigans going on. Everyone can track it. And hopefully, when it builds up to something substantial, we'll have one of the biggest parties of our lives in Vegas to celebrate. All right, guys, let's get started. There's a lot to talk about, and of course, let's do Q&A afterwards. Okay, so looking at Bitcoin, it's down a little bit, 16,167. Yesterday, it got as high as 16,400 before coming down. And right before the stream, it went below 16,000. It was like 15,988, and I could feel it. I didn't hear it, but I could feel certain people like, uh-oh, it's coming down, and then like right away, it just flipped right back up. So Bitcoin is doing this right now, right? This is the 4-hour chart. And you know what? This little fall that we had actually did a lot in terms of resetting some of the indicators, like stochastic RSI is now nearing bottom. RSI is now in the middle, not in the top, right? So just something, a small dip like that, which really is not even a dip, but it's very, very nice. It's very, very nice because it gives Bitcoin a little bit more momentum to move forward. Or I should say a little more breathing room, right? But right now you can see Bitcoin is pretty consistent, even though it had these falls, right? Pretty consistent on moving up and up and up. And you can see that this line right here, this trend line, this last fall didn't even hit it. But maybe it'll come up and come back down. But still, this line is now nearing 16,000. And that's very, very positive for Bitcoin. And I still don't feel the enthusiasm. I made mention of this yesterday that Bitcoin is above 16,000. Yet I just don't feel the enthusiasm anymore. And I see in the comments people are like, I'm too wary or too jagged from before and this and that. Come on now, we're at 16,000, okay? We broke through 14,000, which seemed to be an impossible barrier before. We broke through that. We broke through 15,000. We're at 16,000. We're going to be at 17,000 right around the corner. It was like mid. I think it was 16.5 yesterday. So, 17,000 right around the corner. And then when we hit 18, 20, that's when FOMO will really kick in. But right now, like I said in the title, it's just started. I'm going to show you why. All right, so that's Bitcoin right now. It's just slow and steady upward movement, and that's what we want right now. So that's very nice. What else is there? This article, Bitcoin futures and options suggest that a major BTC price move is looming. Okay, of course, right? Take a look at this. Bitcoin futures is now at all-time high. All-time high. That's pretty high. And also, Bitcoin options is at all-time high. We're talking about billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. The reason for this is because, of course, Bitcoin is doing so well, right? Institutional investors and whales, hedge funds, or whatever, any organization out there that has plenty of money, they're starting to get into Bitcoin. I've been covering that for many, many, many months now, right? But you can also see it. This is kind of like a data that you can look at. Yeah, someone's buying up these futures and options. And according to this article, right? Well, let's read this quote. BTC futures and perpetuals aggregated open interest has made a new all-time high today. Liquidation fest hasn't even started. I think that last point is the most important point, right? You know how right now we don't see like Bitcoin breaking through like a certain resistance and then it just jumps up, right? Usually that happens because of liquidation, like short covers or something like that, or even long covers. We haven't really seen that yet. But as these interests, open interest on futures and options continue to grow, we're going to start seeing more of that. And right now, according to whoever, Mohit Sarut of Bizazu Capital, says liquidation fest hasn't even started. And once it does, we're going to see some big, big, big movements, right? Now, big movements could be bad too. It could swing both ways, right? It could go up really fast, down really fast, but right now we haven't really seen it. I think we haven't seen it as much because BitMEX shenanigans is gone. I think BitMEX played a bigger role than people knew about, and now that the all four members are like running away from authorities, BitMEX can't really do any of the shenanigans they used to. And that could be the biggest reason why we don't see any huge liquidations and stuff happening right now. Although there's a lot of exchanges that does offer futures and stuff, but maybe BitMEX was the one that was really driving things behind the scenes, right? But this does show interest is definitely growing. But see, these kind of interest is not retail interest. It's not retail investors, right? Which is why FOMO really hasn't started with retail investors. But it's about to. It's about to. Now, according to this, because of CME, okay, remember the futures gap? Something that we kind of ignore now because we haven't seen anything from, futures gap for a while. Well, according to this, now we have some positive CME gap because before the CME gap was always like breaking below, right? So apparently there was a gap that we missed, okay? When Bitcoin was, I guess, either going up or down. I don't know, probably down. So there's a gap that we missed that hasn't been filled yet, and it's at 18,000. This is why I said 18,000 in the title soon, because if filling the gap is really a thing and all gaps need to be filled, well, there's one at 18,000 and we're right around the corner, right? If Bitcoin passes 17,000, from 17,000 to 18,000, it's not going to be very difficult. So this could be right around the corner. Jasper, hey, I haven't seen you, Jasper, in a while. Welcome back. So this could be a reason why Bitcoin's hitting 18,000. Now, I personally don't believe in CME gaps that much, although the phenomenon keeps repeating, right? But when it's going down, it's not a good thing. But when it's going up, definitely a good thing, right? But this is not the real reason why Bitcoin's going up. It's not going up because it's trying to fill futures gaps, right? Because right now, there's just too many people behind the scenes that's buying up everything. The whales are just buying up everything. Institutional investors, hedge fund guys, right? Publicly traded companies, anyone you can even think of, banks, countries, even countries are buying Bitcoin. So everyone wants a piece of Bitcoin, and this is why it's going up. However, here we go. Yeah, so this has to do with banks too. Banks will have to adjust to crypto, says Bank of England leader. So one of the leaders of England's central bank says banks must adapt to changes brought on digital assets, right? So this kind of shows you why banks need to buy Bitcoin and need to adjust and need to utilize blockchain just like everyone else. Banks, at first was threatened by new technology, Now they have no choice but to adapt, because if they don't adapt, they'll just die away like dinosaurs. Like we have seen many companies do that in the past. Failure to adapt, they just become obsolete, right? Banks do not want to become obsolete. So now they're forced to adapt. And most likely, because gold is no longer a standard, even though banks and governments around the world do hold and hoard a lot of gold, but still, it's no longer the standard for fiat, right? So who's to say that they're not buying up Bitcoin at this point also to hoard and hold? I do think we haven't heard it yet, but I do think that's right around the corner. With the exception of Iran. Iran is different. It's a whole country. Because of their sanctions against them, they are actually buying, the central bank is actually buying Bitcoin from the miners. The exception to that. But I'm just talking about regular banks, right? Any US bank or European bank or I don't know, Asian bank, right? We really haven't heard it yet, but I do think in the near future we're going to hear that, we have just purchased $1 billion worth of Bitcoin as a reserve, right? I swear that's going to be right around the corner. It would not be far-fetched. In fact, it probably has happened yet. We just haven't heard it because all the banks are waiting for someone else to say it first, kind of like how MicroStrategy started it with publicly traded companies. I think we just need one bank to say it, then all the banks will follow. So that's also what's happening behind the scenes, I believe, and also what's driving Bitcoin up. Now, let's look at this. Fear and Greed Index. Surprisingly, we're at 89 and not 90, because last week we were at 90 and Bitcoin was at a lower price point. So now that Bitcoin is even higher, it's only at 89. But you could see last week, yesterday, now we're in the 80s and 90s extreme greed. But just look at last month. Just look at last month. Why were we down at 53, right? So this kind of shows you that retail investors are still not trusting this rally, right? This is why I've been saying enthusiasm is just not there, because too many people will always say, oh, look at what happened in 2017 or look at what happened in 2019. And they're just not excited, or they're always fearing for the next doomsday drop, right? This is why it was at 53 last month. Why would it be at 53 last month? We were at, 14,000 last month. I don't know why there would be any fear at all, but now it has just turned extreme greed. So it doesn't really make any sense to me. But anyways, a lot of people are feeling really good right now. It does not feel like Bitcoin is coming down, and that's because there's just so much positive momentum for Bitcoin at this point. All right, what else is there? Well, look at this. Two big investors. I would say only one big investor. The other one is just, he's not really a big investor, who sold their Bitcoin would be up 40% today. Well, who are those people? Well, one is Dave Portnoy, which no one talks about anymore. He literally got into Bitcoin for like 3 days and got out because it was too volatile for him. So had he kept his Bitcoin, he would be up 43%, right? That's a lot. That's a lot had he held on. And there's someone else, Hedgeye Risk Management CEO Keith McCullough. I don't know how to pronounce it. But anyways, I don't know why he would sell off his Bitcoin. And here's Dave saying, no one dances on graves like Bitcoin people. That's true. Bitcoin people or crypto people are nasty, right? So that's why an article like this is written, because people want to laugh at him for selling off his Bitcoin. So he's not wrong about that. But this kind of shows you the name of the game for Bitcoin, like most of us know, is basically to buy and hold. The longer you hold, the more profitable you are. Sometimes it seems like that's the wrong move. Sometimes Bitcoin does collapse in a big way, right? And then you may have to wait weeks, months, years before it comes back. But when it comes back, it always comes back stronger, and it climbs and makes a new high. That's the name of the game. Every single person that became a billionaire, millionaire through Bitcoin, that's all they did was buy and hodl. That's the name of the strategy. Accumulate as much as you can and hodl. Hodl for life-changing wealth. That is the name of the game, and that's what I plan on doing too. Well, what I have been doing, but I plan on doing a lot more of it in the future. All right, what else is there? I talked about FOMO, right, and how it hasn't built yet. So this kind of proves you that it's starting, but hasn't really, reached full potential, or nowhere close to reaching full potential. So Fox News now, controversial. Fox News has turned against Trump, and Trump is now turning against Fox News. So kind of interesting dynamic there. But anyways, even Fox News is now talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin reaches 16,000, highest level since 2018. Experts say coronavirus pandemic and maturing technology helped cause the spike. So now you're starting to see news outlets talk about Bitcoin, right? This started happening when Bitcoin surpassed 10,000 in 2017. This time around, when it passed 10,000, no one blinked an eye, right? But now as it's getting higher and higher and higher, people are starting to pay attention to it. Last week, I showed like a lore, like, a female magazine or a cosmetic magazine, starting to talk about how millennial women are getting into Bitcoin, like out of the blue, right? So now it's starting to build, but it's nowhere close to peak, So this also proves it, because if you go on Google search trend and you look at Bitcoin, I mean, for past 12 months, how are we not through the roof right now, right? We are at the same, actually we're lower than July, and lower than May, and then lower than March. How could Bitcoin right now be searched less than March when it collapsed to $3,800? So think about that, right? It just doesn't make any sense. This is why retail FOMO is not here. It's not here, and when it is here, you know what's going to happen? Oh, let's go back. Let's go all time. Yeah, look at that. That's what happened in 2017, okay? So we are not even 1/10 of that, right? So when 2021 hits, Bitcoin is above 20,000 and goes to 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. This is going to start climbing up. But this time around, when it peaks, interest over time is probably going to be like 5 times or 6 times higher than this. It's going to be so high that it can't even measure this anymore. It'll make this look like this, okay? Because as Bitcoin climbs, FOMO is really, really going to build among retail investors, okay? Everyone is going to be asking you about it. If people know you're invested in Bitcoin, like your friends and family, your cousins and distant relatives, and everyone, your neighbors, your kids' parents, their friends' parents, whatever. When they start asking, that's when, this is going to be like 5 times as high. It's probably going to be through the roof. So that's why right now retail FOMO doesn't exist. It really doesn't exist right now. So what's happening now is basically all the hedge funds, institutional, the smart money, or at least what we consider smart money, right? The hedge fund guys, the mutual fund guys, maybe retirement plans, the banks, all these guys, they're the ones that's buying up Bitcoin right now, right? Maybe banks, maybe other financial institutions, right? Public trade companies. The smart money is trying to be smart and buying up all the Bitcoin right now. And, once they have their bags full, they're just waiting, right? And that's when retail investors, the dumb money, will flow in, right? And then cause it to really go up. So you want to be with the smart money, okay? Unless you've been in it for years, then you're already in the smart money. But you need to be in with the smart money and not with the dumb money, because the dumb money usually catches it at top before it falls down, right? So that's what's happening right now. And look at this. PayPal reaches 85% of Binance.US volume in just the first month. It hasn't even really been a month. It's been like 2 weeks. So this shows you the size of PayPal. And PayPal just last week declared they only opened up like 10% for US residents, right? So imagine once PayPal opens up 20, 30, 50, 100%, and that's just the US alone. And then they open it up to worldwide, right? What kind of attention and draw this is going to bring. So again, as Bitcoin interest starts going up among retail investors, This is going to really help. PayPal is really going to help drive that FOMO. Okay, I'm not saying PayPal is a good company. I actually hate PayPal, but I'm forced to use them like everyone else. I have horror stories about PayPal, but still, you can't deny the fact that this is a huge move and it's going to bring so much attention and adoption to the space. Now, speaking of FOMO, I do have a special clip. I just found it right before this stream. Someone that we haven't heard of in a very, very, very long time. He went into hibernation and now he has come back. So take a listen. It's a few minutes. It's a good clip. I don't know if it's a good clip, but just listen anyways.
Welcome back to Fast Money. Bitcoin booming and crossing the $16,000 mark for the very first time since early 2018. Today, it's not just traders getting bullish on digital currencies. ECB President Christine Lagarde also saying that the EU should be prepared for a digital euro. For more on what all this means for the cryptocurrency space, let's bring in our resident Bitcoin baller, BK, who joins us on the phone. Beeks, good to talk to you.
Yeah, good to be here, especially on a day with Bitcoin above 16,000.
Yeah, what do you think it is? And we've had notable investors come out recently endorsing a Bitcoin, whether it be Bill Miller or Stan Druckenmiller, you name it. The Christine Lagarde remarks are interesting. I would think it was either validation of Bitcoin or it would be competition for Bitcoin.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, certainly having, high-profile investors come out and say that they own it takes a lot of the career risk away from investors, professional investors who want to put it in their portfolio. And that's what we're starting to see. Some of the buyers coming in are institutional investors. In terms of the digital euro or digital yuan or digital dollar, it's actually not competition for Bitcoin because Bitcoin's core value proposition is that it has a fixed supply. I can't imagine the ECB issuing a digital currency that is going to have a fixed supply. In fact, I would think it would make it a lot easier for them to digitally print more money. So I actually think it's those are more of a risk for fiat currency holders, and it highlights why Bitcoin is a digital gold-like product.
Can you venture to forecast how high this thing can go by year end?
Yeah, so forecasting the future is very hard, believe it or not. But here's what I will say about it is that, Bitcoin's been above 16,000, I think, 12 days in its entire history. I suspect there probably are some people that bought in late 2017, 2018 that have had a long 3 years are going to want to get out of it, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a pullback. But in the longer run, my view on this is the market total value of all the Bitcoin in existence is $300 billion. The total value of all the gold in existence is $10 trillion. If Bitcoin is actually going to disrupt some of the gold market, $300 billion total valuation is the wrong number, and you can see that there's a lot of scope for upside. And then add into that, if you look back at the halvenings, which we talked about in the spring, where most of the gains come are the year after the halvening. And we're 7 months into that year after the halvening, and, Bitcoin's doing what it should do.
So there could be 5 more months here of a pretty good upside. BK, thanks for calling in. We always like talking to you, our resident Bitcoin expert.
I always like talking.
I think he hung up the phone and he's still talking. He's still talking.
Okay. That went a little long. That went a little long, but as you can see, Brian Kelly is now back. He's now back, which means FOMO is starting to build. Remember, Brian Kelly only appears on Fast Money when things are skyrocketing to the moon. But right now, it's not even retail investors. So it's starting to build up. And I hate to say it, but, Brian Kelly, if he just stuck with his guns, right, and just kept saying Bitcoin is bullish or say that he was bullish on Bitcoin, that would be better. But he disappeared for the longest time, and then he started talking about how he was shorting Bitcoin, and that caught everyone by surprise. Like, how could you short Bitcoin? He was trying to downplay it, so unfortunately that happened, but he's coming back. Who's the other guy? Tom Lee. We haven't heard about Tom Lee in a while. He was also one of the Bitcoin bulls that they would bring on, right? So, as you can see, things are starting to build up slowly over time. Oh, I saw, I was paying attention. People think I don't watch or I don't read the comments. I do. People are talking about XRP. So I have to show this clip. If you're curious about XRP and Ripple and you want to know why it hasn't been going up, so take a listen. This is shorter, but it's a good one. It's a good one.
What do you think about Ripple?
Well, I mean, I think it's too centralized, but I definitely want to meet Chris Larson.
So hopefully that explained it. Hopefully that explained why XRP has not been going up. Probably because of Chris Larson. No. All right. Lastly, I saw this. So this is the reason why. One of the reasons why I don't trust all these platforms that are saying they are decentralized, right? YouTube. A lot of censorship on YouTube, right? A lot of crypto people were censored, whether or not it was an accident or whatever. I had my channel banned for 3 months. I think 3 months, maybe even 4 months, while some other content creators just received their channel back right away. So I was not happy about that. But anyways, because of it, you have all these other companies that come out and say, you know what, come to our decentralized platform because you don't have to worry about censorship and stuff like that. Well, apparently, Library, which is a well-known one, they started censoring content too, right? Even though they're decentralized, but they still centralize content. So this is one of the reasons why you don't know who to trust, right? Maybe just because they're on a blockchain, maybe they sound like they're decentralized, but they're really not. And I'm not trying to throw shade on Library, but just want to say that you got to watch out because a lot of these companies, and not just with streaming platforms, they claim they're decentralized, but they're really not, right? So then who do you trust? I don't know. Lastly, Skype co-founder gives cryptocurrency to an AI startup faculty. $750,000 in crypto. So see, again, someone, I bet you this guy has a ton of Bitcoin, right? This is what I'm saying. The smart money, okay, they have been buying crypto or Bitcoin for a long time. Not all of them wants to brag about it and just admit it openly. But these guys are starting to buy behind the scenes, which is why Grayscale Trust keeps going up by the hundreds of millions every week. And now they own like 7 or 8 billions of Bitcoin in their trust alone, right? And why, futures, Bitcoin futures and options are going up. These money are coming from somewhere, right? So, this kind of example, there's so many probably buying behind the scenes that we just don't know of. But what we can see is Bitcoin's price going up, right? So that's how we know there's buying. There's more buying than selling, that's for sure. That's 100% sure that there is more buying and selling right now. I can guarantee you that. That is why Bitcoin is going up, right? So, 17,000 is right around the corner, 18,000. Look at it. When I was saying, when we were over here, I'm like, the next stop is 17,000. And I see in the comments, people are like, oh, we didn't even break 14,000. Oh, we can't even hold above 14,000, blah, blah, blah. Like a ton of people just like always being, Debbie Downers or whatever, right? And then guess what happened? We broke through and now we're just heading up and up and up and up, right? Now, no one's laughing at the fact that I said we're going to 17,000 anymore, right? And after 17,000, I have this next line drawn. After 17,000, 18,000, 19,000, 20,000. We're going to hit 20,000, okay? Doesn't mean that it's going to be a straight line up. There could be volatility like this. Once we hit 17,000, we could come back down a little bit, maybe even back down to 16 or 15,000. But then what's going to happen is it's going to go right back up. And then down, up, down, up, down, up, and then we'll hit 20,000. That's going to come. That's going to come. It's just a matter of when, not a matter of if, right? So, with that said, it's still accumulation phase, right? I don't know when accumulation phase actually ends, but I do know that even buying Bitcoin at 16,000 is a better buy than buying it at 100,000, right? So, we know Bitcoin is going to go much higher. It's going to climb above 20,000. It's going to get to 30, 50, 100,000 someday. Maybe not as early as we want, but I do think it's going to come much sooner than we expect. So buying now is going to be cheaper than buying later. That's how I view it, and that's how I'm going to start playing it. Well, actually, I started playing that already. I told you guys I made a real emphasis that I'm going to keep myself on a schedule and dollar cost average and keep buying and buying and buying and buying as much as possible. I really regret not going all in at 3,800 earlier this year because now we're quadruple that already, right? But even at these levels, I still think we're still much lower than where we're going to be in 1 year's time. So, yeah. All right. That's it. Let's do some Q&A. We got a good turnout today, almost 600 people. Welcome. If you guys are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and a notification bell. Although I hear that notification bell, at least for live streams, still is not working correctly, or some people just don't get a notification at all. So make sure you also follow me on Twitter. My handle is there, right? And you guys can see I have a Vegas Fund QR code. Those of you guys are interested in joining me and others in a crazy party where the Ripple girls may be attending. That's not 100%. But if you want to join us, donate to the Vegas Fund, and we'll have a good time. That's for sure. We'll have a good time. Maybe not the biggest gathering of Lambos the world has ever seen, but we'll still have a good time. All right, let's do Q&A. Hiko, I think that's how you pronounce your name, has a good question. Oh no, I read the wrong one. Trading 212. Hi George, I hear a lot of predictions about the price of Bitcoin over next year. Do you have a prediction of when you're going to be sell to take advantage of the next 4-year cycle? I think that's easy, right? That's no, actually I take that back. It's not as easy when things are going up. Okay, so I take that back. But let's look at Bitcoin in this 4-year cycle and where it's go ahead, right? So I drew these arrows earlier this year, way earlier, like January, February, before Bitcoin fell in March, all right? And I was like, man, look at this. This is how it's going to go. Of course, not just that flat, but it was going to be up and down. But anyways, I'm like, this is what Bitcoin's going to do by the end of the year. It's going to hit 20,000 by the end of the year because this 4-year cycle is basically mimicking the last 4-year cycle almost identically. And take a look at what Bitcoin is doing now. It is catching up really, really, really quickly. The way this is going, it may even come before that, but still, you can see this is very, very, very close, right? So this is the last 4-year cycle. This is the last year of the 4-year cycle, I should say. So if it hits 20,000 and it goes up 1,500%, it's going to be at 300,000. All right, so it's easy as that. So we know that usually a 4-year cycle, it comes to an end almost predictably. So in 2017, when Bitcoin was doing this, we saw in December it was just going nuts, right? So nutty that at one point, I was thinking that Bitcoin may hit like 30 or 35,000 by the end of December. That's how nutty it was. And, I had it in my back of my mind. I'm like, this is going up too much, right? So thankfully, I did take some profits out at then, but not nearly as much as I should have. But still, that was a good indication that the end was coming. Because if you guys notice pumps always goes the fastest right before it comes down, right? But that was also timed perfectly because that was mid-December to late December, right? So the New Year's coming, the cycle is ending. So this time around, I think it's going to be the same thing. So after the halfway point, I would say after June, July, if we start noticing Bitcoin start moving up by tens of thousands every single week or month or whatever, then The bubble may be bursting soon, so start taking profits. But until then, I would not be worried about taking profits, at least for myself. These people have asked me, should I take some profits at 20,000, 25,000, whatever. If you're trying to time top and bottom, it never works out. Most likely you're going to lose money, right? So I would say don't worry about taking profits until we're above 50,000, 60,000, 100,000, then start taking out. And taking profit schedule is up to you, however much you want to take out. 20%, 50%, 75%, just to be safe. No one ever gets hurt taking profits, right? That's the quote. Actually, I take that back. I mean, I do think you could get hurt by taking profits sometimes, but not really. Maybe emotionally, but not financially. Let's put it that way. So do you think we'll have a moonshot from 20,000 to 340,000? No, it won't be like that. Keep in mind, okay, so this is on a weekly scale. So let's look at the last 4-year cycle. Going from, basically 1,200 to 20,000, right? When you look at a weekly, chart like this, it seems like, oh yeah, it's just doing this all the time, right? Like just upwards. No, there's some big downs in between here. You just really don't notice it. A lot of these green candlesticks, right? Because it's over a week. Within that week, there's some big volatility up and down. You just don't notice it, right? So it does not mean that it just goes straight shot to the moon. But with that said, the overall direction and momentum is still upwards, right? So I think 2021 is going to be the same thing. The more volatile it becomes, that we're going to see a lot more swings, right? So it's not just going to be a straight line like this. There will be up and downs, up and downs, up and downs, up and downs. But overall, I think the direction is going to be pointing upwards. That's it. And I gotta move something real quick. The freaking sun. I gotta cover it up. I tried that before, a marathon stream. I just had my stream running for like 24 hours. It did not work out. People would just join in and like, what the hell's going on? Yeah, my car channel outpaced my crypto channel. I think it just recently passed it. So it's good. I mean, my car channel is growing at a pretty consistent rate. The crypto channel, not so much. Because even right now, you can see it, enthusiasm just isn't there. And to gain back the favor of YouTube algorithm is not easy at all. If you lose it, you really do lose it. And I've seen other channels try to get it back for years and just they can't do it, right? So hopefully this channel picks up again as Bitcoin is going up. But yeah, my car channel is definitely doing much better right now. What sports card are you waiting for? And how much? It's interesting you say that because my friend's been telling me that cards have been going back up again. And I started looking because for a while, I know that in the off season, the cards would come down. But now, yeah, they are starting to pick up because the new season's right around the corner. Like Luka Prism 10s are starting to go back up again, right? So we'll see how crazy it is this year or this new year, right? Cards and Bitcoin, they could be both going up like this within 2021. And I don't know if stocks will follow too. Stocks are already sky high. And I don't know what's going to happen with stocks. But maybe all three will go up like this. And then there'll be the trifecta. No one ever lost money taking profit. Yes, but you could lose potential money, I guess. What's my prediction for the next 2 hours? Well, let's see. Let's look at some of the shorter term indicators right now. Even even looking at trading view, look at the technicals over. Oh, it's covered up on the screen, so you guys can't see that. But anyways, well, looking at this, the 1 hour is looking fantastic. 1 hour stochastic bottomed out. You can see that RSI seems to have turned the corner and now it's heading up. And that's because the 4 hour has come down, and you can see RSI also is turning back up. So I would expect that within the next 2, 3, 4, 5 hours going into tonight, I would expect that Bitcoin comes back up. Yesterday it touched 16,500. I believe that we will touch that again. If not, I think we might even break it. I think 17,000 is definitely coming. It could be coming later tonight. It could be coming tomorrow, right? I don't think anything is stopping this Bitcoin train. But, this morning, I know some people were like, oh, look at it, it's coming down, right? Like, of course it's going to come down. Nothing just goes up forever. There's going to be brief periods, right? But the only thing I want to say is we haven't had a real big consolidation period, at least not for a while, right? We haven't really seen one for a while. The last time we've seen a consolidation period was somewhere around here. You can see it went from October 22nd all the way to about, I don't know, let's say here, November 4th, right? So that wasn't even that long, honestly. That was only a few weeks ago. So that's actually not a good example. Let's go back. Let's go back farther. Okay, here's one. So from September 3rd, and let's say all the way up to here, to October 21st. Okay, so that was a month and a half, right? And even before this, you could see there was another like about a month where Bitcoin just seems to have stalled, even though it dropped a little bit, but still it was above 10,000. It was just hovering before it finally broke through, right? So we haven't seen like a bigger consolidation period like that in a while. And before that, you could see we had one over here too that stretched for a month or so. So things are definitely accelerating. I mean, look at this period, big jump, then this. Now you're seeing like this, right? So we haven't seen another consolidation period, and I think we could see that at 17,000. So after we hit 17,000, I could see where maybe we break through it, come back down, right? Or hit it and just hover a little bit. I do think we'll probably hover here for a little bit, but once we do break through 17,000, once all the indicators and everything reset and Bitcoin's ready to go, I think we'll hit 20,000 real fast afterwards. Like after we finally break through this, we'll go like really fast. But I do think 17,000 will be a critical point. Bitcoin has not hovered at 17,000 for very long at all. It briefly touched it on the way up and on the way down. That's it. Like briefly. Like maybe a few days. That's it. So 17,000 I think will be a very, very crucial resistance and support. So I think that's what's going to happen. In the long run, LTC has potential as PayPal and others will use it. But why would it have more potential than Bitcoin? See, that's what Litecoiners can't answer. Just like how XRP Army can't answer why it'll go to $589, despite the fact that I refute their claims. They refuse to believe it, and they still claim the same thing. Just like Litecoiners. And I'm not trying to piss off XRP Army or Litecoiners, but it just doesn't make any sense. What use does Litecoin have over Bitcoin? In that example, PayPal is also selling Bitcoin. So why is Litecoin better? The only thing you can argue is, oh, Litecoin is cheaper. The dumb money that's flowing in, they're going to be buying a cheaper coin. Well, yeah, that's true until they realize that Bitcoin is moving much faster than Litecoin and they've been doing it wrong. And that's what always happens. I think most people don't start out as BTC Maximus. I think most people, and I'm not saying I'm a BTC Maximus, but I think most people, they get in, they want to buy something cheap. So they look at altcoins that are cheap. Maybe they buy Bitcoin Cash or something like that. And then they study it over time, and then they realize that Bitcoin has been moving much higher and much faster than what they've been holding, and they switch. I think that's usually what happens because why would you hold on to something that doesn't grow as fast as Bitcoin? Then you're just doing it wrong, right? So that's the thing with Litecoin. And I've already said my thoughts about Charlie Lee and basically how he lied to everyone saying he sold off his Litecoin. That's BS. He didn't sell off his Litecoin. He's probably still sitting on $1 billion worth of Litecoin, right? I have no doubt. If you go back to the early days when he worked at Coinbase and he was mining Litecoin while at Coinbase, he generated hundreds of thousands of addresses. And each one had like, I forgot because I studied this. It was like, 1,000 Litecoins in each wallet. I don't know what experiment he was running, but he convinced Coinbase to adopt Litecoin, and that's how Litecoin became a mainstream coin. But he has so many wallets out there that he probably doesn't even have the keys for anymore. He probably has $1 billion of Litecoin just sitting out there. Cardano's interesting because there's a lot of people that really believe in Cardano, right? And that's because of Charles. And I think he's a really good guy and very, very, very smart guy. He already talked about commercial applications for Cardano when it's done. The key thing is when, right? When is it going to be done? He got the biggest part out, this moving to proof of stake. That is complete, and he have said that is the biggest hurdle. Now he's working on smart contracts and scaling and all this stuff, right? So people are still wondering when it's going to be done, and when it is done, how is it going to compete with the likes of Polkadot or of course Ethereum and others that are in this space, right? So it's really unknown at this point. I would say it's unknown. Mr. R, I only talk about it because people like you talk about it in the channel, okay? There's a lot of people talking about Litecoin. I'm trying to respond to what people are saying. New to crypto, is now the time to buy or wait for a dump? Well, you can wait. I've been waiting for a dump since 8,000 and it has doubled since then. So, I mean, when it comes to Bitcoin right now, I just don't see any huge dumps. There could be a 500 point, 1,000 point swing in the near future. So if you could time it right, then great. But I think the best strategy at this point is just to set yourself on a schedule, dollar cost average, like every paycheck, every Friday, every month, every week, whatever. Set a schedule where you buy a small amount and you keep it consistent and you're cost averaging over long term. People that have done that have done the best. And they simply held and not worried about the price. If it falls, if it goes up, pumps or dumps, it doesn't matter. Just buy a small piece. I think that's the best way to do it. My cousin using Coinbase, he asked me about keys, says Coinbase has none. No, Coinbase has the keys. It's just all you need is a password to log in. Exchanges, if you're dealing with exchanges, of course, they don't really tell you the private key because they have it. Because they control it. That's the thing. No, my grandma's not asked me about Bitcoin yet. What is up with Coinbase adding irrelevant unknown tokens? I agree with that. I mean, there's a lot of good projects out there that Coinbase has not touched yet. Like people say, why hasn't Coinbase added Cardano? Unless that's changed recently, but I think they still don't have Cardano on. But there's a lot of all these unknown coins that just gets added right away now. I don't know how they convince, these projects. Maybe they do pay a fee or something and get listed right away. I don't know how that works anymore. So, yeah, I agree with you there. Hey, look at who's back. Hey, look at who's back. Lincoln is back. Lincoln, I was just talking about you yesterday because someone asked me where Lincoln is and if he's still holding LTC. So are you still all gung-ho about LTC? Yeah, see, Coinbase still has not added Cardano. But my thought is, I think Coinbase didn't add Cardano yet because maybe they fear it is a security. You know, Cardano had a really questionable ICO. So basically they did their ICO and they sold to a lot of private investors I recall in Japan. It wasn't an open one. So people are wondering if it's too centralized. At the beginning, at least, they were wondering if it's too centralized because all the private investors and people who got in early owns a huge portion of it. But that kind of like got, swept under the rug. No one ever talks about that. But maybe because of that, Coinbase is afraid of that. I don't know. Or maybe they're just waiting. I have no idea. Well, Lincoln, I'm glad you're back. Because I know a lot of people are now starting to come back. Bitcoin is at 16,000 now, right? There should be a lot more enthusiasm at this point. There should be a lot more of it. But I'm not seeing it as much. Like this point back in 2017, I don't think I was live streaming yet, but if I was, I'll probably have like 5,000 people watching. I mean, it was bananas back in 2017 when Bitcoin surpassed 10,000, right? But because we came back down from 20,000, I know we came back down from 14,000, I know in 2019, a lot of people are just too afraid, right? But I mean, honestly, Bitcoin has not been above 16,000 for any extended period of time. If it goes above 17,000, it really did not stay above 17,000 for that long. And then as it goes higher, I mean, once it passes 20,000, it's going to be an unknown, right? It could go from 20,000 to 30,000, 40,000 in like weeks. Like it could move really fast because it's really unknown and FOMO builds. Because right now, if you guys watch at the beginning, I talked about how FOMO has really not built up yet at all, at least among retail investors. The smart money, the hedge funds, investors, mutual funds, retirement plans, banks, countries, the smart money, they're buying. They're FOMOing right now, which is why Bitcoin keeps going up. They're buying behind the scenes. We just don't know about it. But if you look at retail investors, look at this. Bitcoin search term on Google Trends, look at 2017 versus now. See, this is why retail FOMO is nowhere close. But once it really does hit after 20,000, this thing is going to climb and it's going to climb and it's going to climb. It's going to make this 2017 peak look like this, 2013 peak. It's going to be exponentially higher than this. So that's when things will really go nuts. That is why people laughed at, Bitcoin can't ever get to 100,000 or 200,000, you guys are just crazy thinking that. No. It could go much, much higher. And I showed you guys a clip from Brian Kelly. He talks about gold has a 10 trillion market cap, right? Imagine when banks, I just talked about this. Banks have to adjust to crypto. Imagine when banks start buying Bitcoin as a reserve rather than gold. Right? There's no reason to have gold anymore. It's not like fiat is based on gold anymore. So there's no reason to actually only to hold gold, right? Imagine when all these banks start one by one, starting to put their billions and trillions into Bitcoin, right? Imagine when Bitcoin has 1, 2, 3, 5 trillion in market cap, right? So that's when things will get really wild. And it's nowhere close to there. So the upside is tremendous. Even if Bitcoin was at half the market cap of gold, that would put it at 5 trillion, right? And where's 5 trillion? Bitcoin is only at 300 billion right now. So 5 trillion, that's more than 10x. That's 15x, almost 20x from here, right? So what's I can't do the math here. Yeah, so 16,000, you go up 15x, that puts Bitcoin at 240,000. So Bitcoin's at 240,000. it would still only be at 5 trillion market cap, which would still be half of gold's market cap. So think about that, right? So what if one day it hits gold's market cap? Then it would be at $500,000 each Bitcoin, right? And if it surpasses gold one day, then it could definitely go to 1 million, right? So it kind of shows you the potential of Bitcoin at this point and how early we are. I mean, we're really, really early. We're really early at this point. Are you factoring in dollar collapse? If the dollar collapses, well, hopefully that doesn't happen within our lifetime. Because if it does, I think we will have more problems than we know or we could think of. I think that'll be really bad if the U.S. dollar really collapses. But it definitely will help Bitcoin. But I think that the world will not be a very livable place if that happened. But anyways, let's say it did happen and life can continue using Bitcoin as a digital currency, then Bitcoin will go to hundreds of trillions of dollars, right? And then, you know, those citadels that the Bitcoin time traveler talked about, they will become a reality. Do you have an opinion on Theta? Theta's fine. They're decentralized streaming. They're big they're not big, but they have a lot of traction in Asia. A lot of companies are streaming their cartoons, animation on Theta. So I think they're gonna be fine. I think they're gonna be fine long term. But digital streaming, decentralized streaming is pretty, competitive. There's a lot of players in the scene, but they're definitely one of the bigger ones. So I think Theta will be fine in the future. Link looking like $48 by December 2020. I don't know. That's a little far-fetched. That's 4x from here. Unless Bitcoin goes 4x and goes to 50,000, I don't know if that's going to happen. Right now, keep in mind that as Bitcoin rises, BTC dominance is still rising too. So it's not one of those situations where altcoins are outpacing Bitcoin, right? Otherwise, BTC dominance will go down. That could change. I just got done talking about a consolidation period where Bitcoin has not really consolidated for a while like this, right? It's been going up and up and up. I do believe something like that will come around, maybe around 17,000 or maybe around 20,000. If it happens around 17,000, we start going sideways, right? Or 20,000. I do think when that happens, altcoins will come up in a big way. But right now, altcoins are weak because of that. So we'll see. We'll see when that happens. Marco, yo. Hey, those of you guys that are tuning in for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and whatever else. Oh, and smash up the like. I sold my car and bought all Bitcoin. Wow, congratulations. So what did you sell? I'm just curious what you sold. There's a Bitcoin bull from China says the chart is looking like it did in 2017. True dump is coming. No, it does not. 2017, 2020 can't be compared. They are very, 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 very different, right? 2017, did you hear of any countries or publicly traded companies going all in on Bitcoin? No. Did you hear big Bitcoin bears turn bullish on Bitcoin? No. It's just very, very different. The environment is totally different. People are finally seeing that fiat is inflating way too much, right? Before people didn't care, but right now I think they do. I think people start paying attention to what the government's tried to do in terms of stimulating the economies around the world, right? The endless printing, money just being minted out of thin air, right? I think people are starting to pay attention to that too. So the environment's different. You're starting to see Bitcoin decouple from the stock market, which really didn't happen before I mean, everything about right now is different than 2017. So that's how I view it. Do you think it's possible for tech to come out to mine all the BTC in short order? No, I don't think so. Even if that came out today, okay? Even if that came out today and the remaining 2.5 million gets mined out, right? That's 2.5 million out of 21 million. That's not like a gigantic amount. Sure, it's a lot, but it's not the vast majority of Bitcoin. So even if that happened, which it won't in any time soon, it's not going to be as disruptive as people think. You think Bitcoin will push 30K in December? No, I think the best case scenario is Bitcoin pushes 20,000 in December, end of December. It really depends on once we hit 17,000, how long we consolidate there, right? If we consolidate there or we take a dump from there, we come back down to 15,000 for 17,000 and hover before going back to 17,000, then going to 20,000. Depends on how long that takes. But I do think a good scenario could be that we hit 70,000, maybe come down really fast, and then come right back up, and then go to 18, 20,000. I think that is more realistic. All right, guys, that is it. I'm getting hungry. I'll let you guys go. So happy Friday, right? Today is definitely a pretty good day overall. We'll see what happens this weekend. If Bitcoin goes nutty this weekend, I'll have a live stream, so make sure you follow me on Twitter. But I do think 17,000 is right around the corner. And today, if you didn't watch earlier, rewind, because there's a lot of reasons why Bitcoin could be seeing 18,000 pretty soon, beyond 70,000, and why that is a great thing, because Bitcoin FOMO among retail investors really didn't start yet, right? So all this is happening before true FOMO hits. And when it does hit, it's going to drive things much higher. So all very, 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 very positive at this point. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like, subscribe to the channel. I have my Vegas fund. I started today. If you guys want to contribute and join me and others at Vegas, then contribute. All right. And that's it. I'll see you guys later. Bye.